I have a hot take. I feel like that card is extremely overrated.
A lot of the times I have some hot takes as well. When it gets into the field, it doesn't do anything.
We've all been there, haven't we? Where you play a card on the table and you're like, oh, what have I done? Personally, I feel like that's part of the game.
That's like the number one thing is we just need consistency. Plus, the rule is not being applied because no one understands the rule well.
How's it going, everyone? Welcome to our new podcast with Syed and Speci, or Curly Cards is what we should be calling him now. And my name is Earlmeister, and we are part of the Rarehunters, and this is our new podcast, and we're so excited to deliver this to you all, and we're gonna get straight into it right away.
Let's crack on. Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect.
Yeah, Set11 is here. Winterspell is finally here, and we're so excited about it. And there's so much to talk about. We're going to start with the best decks that we think is going to be wrecking the meta. What do you think about this, Zan and Spec?
Well, I think Zan's probably slightly more qualified than I am on this topic. I mean, I didn't play as much Whispers in the World, but I watched like the Richmond event. I saw Blurple still doing really well. Obviously, Emerald Sapphire came out on top of that one. I think Sapphire's looking very good overall. Amethyst Steel still going to be strong. And then I think you've sort of got like the Dogs deck as well. So I think a lot of Sapphire decks, but overall really impressed by Winterspell. Like there's a lot of new sort of styles of decks that have potential. Amber got some really interesting cards like the new Ramp 2 cost, as well as the Raging Storm, which is like the Be Prepared type card. And then also Ruby got some really nice cards, which I'm excited to see. So overall, I've been really enjoying the look of the set so far. But I think Dogs and then Amethyst Steel and then Sapphire decks would be my sort of like three main picks out of the gates.
Nice. How about you, Zan? What do you think are the best decks? Is it Monstro OTK combo 0.2?
No. I think that basically everything is going to be reactive. I'm not going to be playing in the first like major tournament. I would say that's going to be one of the CCQs, like the Ink tournament that's going to be happening. That's probably going to be the tournament that determines what is going to be the best deck to choose. But I think that this is the first time where any of 7 decks could be one of the best decks. So I don't think there's like a clear cut like, oh, let's just play Monstro combo every tournament, or Dogs on every tournament and it'll be the right answer, you know?
Yeah. If you have to choose, like, let's say top 3, even though that there's no set meta and we're reacting to it, what do you think the top 3 would be?
Let's just say Dogs, Blurple, let's just say like Yellow Red, just because I think it would be a clear counter to Dogs.
Ruby Amber top deck. I never thought I'd hear the day.
Yeah.
What makes that deck good then? Do you think it's like an actual serious deck?
Yeah. Like the curve of like playing Mulan into Ruben into Horseman, and then the Horseman can sing Grab Your Boy. But yeah, you can basically just knock out Dogs just by doing that curve. The other aspect of it is like you can play like a more songs heavy version. And so you can go like, what's the song that gives -2 and draws a card?
The yellow song, the 4 cost.
Exactly. So you can pair that with a Horseman and just take out pretty much everything in the format that's relevant. And then whatever you can't take out, you can just use the Sacrifice song. I can't remember the name of the song.
Are you talking about Being Undisputed?
Sacrifice a character. Yep. Essentially, what you're doing is the other aspect of the deck is you just play the power line, and the power line stuff ends up being really, really powerful in the deck, right? Because you can shift power line much easier because you can play the song that makes the next character you play cost 2 less, right? So you can easily just shift on to Powerline. So that's like a deck that I've been playing around with. It's not like the hardest deck to figure out, but once you figure it out, you just realize that all the aggro decks are like really free for you to beat. And then let's say in Baltimore, Dogs ends up winning. In the next tournament, we think that Dogs is going to be 25%. If you bring a deck like this, you'll just beat Dogs for free and potentially make a huge run in that tournament. Now the question is, can this deck beat a deck like Blurple, which is on the opposite spectrum, right? And so, yeah, I mean that's basically the game.
From my testing,
from your testing,
it's been hard, like to beat the control decks in general. Like blue, green, and Blurple has been very hard for Amber Ruby. Maybe I'm playing the wrong Amber Ruby, but I have been tucking some fast cards as well to maybe give me some racing abilities in the beginning of the game. But yeah, it's been tough. Every matchup though feels free other than the control decks.
The thing is, figuring out the build to be good against other strategies is going to be extremely tough, especially because how many people have put in time on to Amber Ruby, and also the amount of cards that are come out for it is so many. So like figuring out the right build is only going to come out once we know what the targets are. But if Blurple ends up being one of the targets, it's definitely going to be more difficult to make that deck come out.
Yeah.
But if Dogs is like 30%, then that might be one of the best options. Hope to dodge Blurple.
Yeah. I do like it though. It's giving me like the green blue vibes. Before Mean, Malicious, and Scary came out, we used to use the song that minuses everyone and then Under the Sea. It's kind of like the same vibe for me, except that you're banishing everything instead of sending them to the nether realm.
I think like overall as well for the health of Lorcana, I mean, I made a video a few weeks ago before this set came out and before I think the cards have been revealed. And I was quite worried that, you know, Amethyst was seemingly everywhere. Ruby was sort of really not seeing much play. And also like a lot of these color combinations, which haven't been very competitive for a long time, like Ruby Amber, are just sort of collecting dust. So immediately, I think it's really exciting that we can actually seriously talk about Ruby Amber as a contender, and even Amber Sapphire as well. Is that a deck that you've been impressed with, Zan?
Oh yeah, deck is super impressive. Jeremy has been piloting it a lot, and I played a lot of it as well. The biggest problem I found in the strategy is right now the Amethyst cards still have the best draw engines, right? And so that draw engine is still better than a board wipe. So it's still difficult to like be in a totally great spot against a lot of the Amethyst decks, but you're still in you're in a much better spot than you were last set. It's going to require the non-Amethyst decks to figure out exactly the perfect shell, as opposed to the Amethyst deck can walk into the room and play 70% of the right shell and still end up winning majority of their matches. So it's still possible. It's possible for these non-Amethyst decks to start winning, and that's a lot for one set to have accomplished.
He's probably running Ohana for some draws, but and Pete as well. Is he on Bambi as well? Because I've been impressed by the card. I like Bambi.
Yeah, I think that's like the next card on the testing block. Bambi is a card I tested. I didn't understand it. Can you give me some insight into why you think it's good and try to persuade me?
Yeah.
Also, just for like people that aren't familiar with Bambi, it's when it exerts.
Yeah.
You look at the top cards based on how many cards are underneath it, and you reveal characters and add them to hand, and it's boost 2, isn't it? I think it's like one of the first cards that has that text, which when I exert, so you can challenge or quest with it or sing, and it would still trigger, which is quite unique. But just in case people aren't familiar with Bambi.
That's basically what I like about Bambi, because you're running yellow anyways, and you have Ohana. There are lines where, hey, I don't want to quest with this, I want to control at the same time as well as draw. So you can boost Bambi, and let's say you boosted him once, or let's say you boosted him twice, and now you're attacking one of the characters, you're challenging them. Now you get some damage from Bambi, but as well as triggering his ability. So you reveal the 2 top cards. If they're both characters, they go into your hand, and now you can play Ohana onto Bambi because he has 5 willpower, so you can take 4 damage on Bambi and then draw 4, and it's just so much draws that you can get. Although it can be quite expensive when it comes to boosting him, but it's almost like Pete minus 2 strength, but allows you to draw more than Pete, because Pete filters and then picks 1 card, sends everything in the bottom.
And this is the new Pete, of course. So it's the 5 strength, 5 willpower, boost 1.
Yeah.
And whenever you quest, you draw the amount of cards underneath it. Is that right?
Yeah.
No,
1 card.
It's always 1 card. You just get to look at more cards.
Yeah.
So let's say there's 1 card underneath. You look at the top card, it just goes into your hand. But then it becomes a develop your brain if you have 2 cards underneath, and it becomes.
I have a hot take. My first hot take, I'm sure of many on this podcast. I feel like that card is extremely overrated. I think it's good, but I've been hearing people talk like it's like the next best thing. I think it's like, for example, in like Amber Sapphire, where you struggle for card draw, I think it's got like I can definitely see it being good enough there. I think it's never going to be bad, but people have been sort of talking about it like it's the best thing since sliced bread, and I'm not necessarily sure I agree with that. What do you guys think?
I love Pete. It's everything I want on a blue card, honestly, because of number one, he has good board presence because it's a 5/5 body. You can combo it with the cat if you need to attack. He can defend the board if you need to, but also if there's not a lot going on, he's a draw engine and a filter at the same time. And if you have ways of like bouncing him eventually, you can get that back. And also it's good against other blue decks in general because there's not an efficient way to like answer him except for hard removals. And if you do hard removals with blue, it's usually going into your ink. And if you hit it, you most likely will sacrifice a couple of characters to take it out. And it's just everything that I want in a blue card.
I mean, I'll say it has a little bit of the Blurple effect. Like Blurple is such a good deck that Cinderella is bad in Blurple, right? Whereas I think Pete might be bad in Blurple, but it's one of the necessary components for Blue Steel and Amber Sapphire, right? And so those decks need it a lot more, and it just has this effect of like, okay, let's say if you were able to protect it with your Ludwig or your Mowgli's, then like you see that the coast is clear, so this card can just like snowball and end up winning you the game. Going back to Bambi, the interesting part is, let's say you're playing blue-yellow and you go Sail or Tipo into the Bambi. My problem is the next turn, what ends up happening, right? You end up putting a card underneath, right? That ended up costing you 2. So you're down to 3. If you look at blue-yellows like as a deck, you're like, what can I play in the 3 costs? That means what you're doing is you're saying that the next turn I'm taking off a turn for not a guaranteed card, because if I quest with Bambi, then what's going to happen? If I quest with Bambi, I'm going to look at the top card, and if it's not a character, I get nothing.
Yeah.
So essentially, I'm agreeing to take off. I'm like time walking myself. So now let's say I'm like, okay, I need to create a higher chance of me hitting something with this. And the next turn you do it again. So now you go from 6 to 4. So now what are your options? You can play another Bambi or you can play a Cinderella, because blue-yellow, one of its problems is it doesn't have good 4-drops, right? Like it's not like you're playing Genies or Dumbos, right? Which are just like on another level. They're winning the game. They've already replaced themselves, and they're giving you the draw effect at a much lower cost, right? So that's basically where I become confused. I feel like I need to hit characters, and this card is not really hard for anybody to get rid of. Like if you ask yourself, what do I need to get rid of it? It's Elsa plus 3, right? Like everybody plays like Rafiki's, Royal Guards, anything that can deal 3 damage. So that means that if I want to remove this thing, I can. And the only time I'm actually trying to remove it is once I feel like my opponent has invested enough resources in it. I would let my opponent activate it twice, just so they time walk themselves 2 turns essentially, and I just take it off the board when I think it's like actually annoying.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. I guess the best time to play Bambi after you play 4, if they don't exert, then you don't boost, because you can boost, pay 2, and then hit, and then Ohana. It's a great body for Ohana. I guess if they don't exert, I would just ignore Bambi and just let him sit there and play instead on turn 5. And I don't really trigger anything until turn 6, because you can also run Scrooge on 6, right? The new Scrooge McDuck. And then boost both of the characters with the 6, which gives a lot of value to the Scrooge.
Yeah, but who is the person that's allowing you to challenge a character in Ohana? If I met that player, I would be like, okay, I'm probably gonna just win this, and I need to think about when I'm playing against a person that I could potentially lose to. That's not.
I'll be honest. You'd get me with that, but no. I think it's the kind of thing you have to fall for once, right? You're like, oh yeah, that card exists now. It's like Rapunzel's back, right? And then you learn your lesson.
Exactly, but I'm always assuming that if I'm playing a match that is going to matter in a tournament, it's going to be against someone who already learned that lesson one time.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
That's also the other thing with Bambi, right? Like you're playing a deck with likely quite a few actions as well, so it's not even guaranteed. I do think the card's cool though. Overall, I think boost mechanic is like quite interesting, but I've always felt like before Winterspell came out, I was looking at the cards. I'm like, yeah, some boost cards are good on their own, but I'm not too convinced by like any sort of like boost synergies just yet. But the thing I like most about Bambi, honestly, is just that new text where it says "when I exert." I think that I'd really like to see that sort of pop up on a few other cards to give them a bit more
They
flexibility.
should have given it boost 1. I think it's
Yeah,
perfect. I think it's so perfect if it's boost 1.
Yeah.
But boost 2, they just
it's a lot. It's a lot.
it's too much. And that's the whole reason why Pete is actually
So good. Yeah.
in its own category, right? Like yellow needs it more. You know what I mean? Like Bambi is a card I want to play in, even in Monstro, but it costing 1 is the whole thing that changes it up for me.
But with the whole
as
pattern
opposed to-
of what we've been seeing with like card reveals on every set, I think it's pretty obvious that someone in the dev team is a Blurple fan. So why would they give that to yellow and not give it to blue? I'm just kidding, Arby. I'm just kidding. That's why the 5/5 got it. But yeah, I can see why you think of that with Bambi. I think it's a fun card, but maybe it's not there because of how expensive the boost is, unless you have ways to actually boost Bambi for free.
I think that, you know, what I would have loved to see with the boost mechanic is like if this card has no cards underneath it, then it costs 2. Then after that, I think it should cost 1. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like kind of like leveling up your boost experience. I think that would create some really interesting gameplay.
Yeah.
I think maybe also just like some of the boost synergy cards could be a little bit better, right? Like you're not really rewarded enough for like building a whole deck with boost. There's not quite enough payoff there, I would imagine. It's not something I've even tested. I think that can often be sort of the case, I think, with DisneyLorcana, that some of the wider themes are not always quite given as much juice as I would like to see. And sometimes like you're just better off just playing like the good cards individually and you find synergies. But I think like the boost payoff cards, right? Like the cards that put cards under other things, usually I feel like they could just be a little bit better and you could be a little bit more rewarded for going out of your way with including those cards in your deck.
Yep, I completely agree.
There is this card that my chat keep bringing up in my stream, and I wanna pick both of your brains in it. So I don't agree with them, and I might be wrong because a lot of the times I have some hot takes as well. It's the 4-cost Belle. It's the 2/3 that can quest for 2. It's just that when it gets into the field, it doesn't do anything right away unless like your opponents have cards that are exerted, because for every card that is banished, it goes into your inkwell, which means that if I play it on 4 and they exerted, I can maybe trade my 1-cost or 2-cost characters, my Tipo, just so it goes straight to my inkwell. But it also affects herself, so if she's banished, she goes to the inkwell as well. What do you guys think about that card?
Seems okay. I think it's like the kind of cards you wouldn't be playing in Blurple, right? But Zan pointed out earlier, maybe Amber Sapphire has like some weak 4-drops. So I could see it being good enough in like some color combinations where you don't have like a really obvious go-to 4-cost. 2 strength is kind of relevant in this format, I think, as well, of like Grab Your Bow and Headless Horseman seeming quite strong overall. So that's obviously a downside of it, right? You'd rather it probably be like a 3/2 maybe in this format. Maybe that's not true. I think it's like an okay card. It's got potential. I don't think it's ever going to be brilliant, but I think it could see some play.
Yeah, I would like to see it in like a more aggressive strategy, like maybe like a blue-green hyper aggressive strategy where like it's closer to the top end of the deck. But right now, the way it's seeing play, I don't think it really makes sense, because if you think about it in blue-yellow, the biggest problem with blue-yellow is the card advantage aspect. And one of the ways I found that you fix the card advantage aspect is the Black Cauldron. And so you don't want your characters actually going to your inkwell. You actually want them to hit the bin, especially like your big Hades and your big Stitches. So I think it's actually anti-synergy for the blue-yellow deck, which is the one that it's seeing play in right now.
Can I just take a moment to appreciate that you called it the bin, Zan? I feel like that's a very English thing to say. Shouldn't it be the trash?
No. I'm learning from you. You know.
He's been hanging out
I'm
with
just
a
picking
lot
up
of Europeans lately. I like that you mentioned Black Cauldron, because the next thing that we're going to talk about is the best cards in the meta. So the new cards in general. And I think that Black Cauldron is an honorary new card for the meta because it's never seen play before. No one wanted to pull that from their packs. I was one of them. I'm like, oh, it's a Black Cauldron. Even the enchanted version, I'm like, I wanted the Demona. But it's nice that it might actually see play, or it already is seeing play, because I have seen some blue-yellow decks as well that was running it.
It's 100% auto include in the blue-yellow strategy. The way you want to think about it is, if you remember the blue-red DKP deck, you would get Merlin's Carpet Bag. And then instead of Merlin's Carpet Bag, in this deck, you just grab your Black Cauldron. And I think that one is where we're going to start off with. But if we see more and more item hate, like Wasabi, I think, is starting to pick up, then we may see 2 copies, just because there's not that many options for blue-yellow to bring back stuff, right? The other card I've been seeing,
Blast from your past.
Yeah, Blast from your past. So that's like a similar type of effect. I still think it costs too much. I think it's uninkable, and you have to time it correctly. Whereas Black Cauldron is something that's like doing the work throughout the game, and you can just put it in. It costs 3. Sometimes you can do it right after when you've just wiped the board. You just put it in, and you slowly start to activate it. Try to like collect as many Hades as possible, and then just like, you know, have as many double Hades turns as you can. I mean, one of the things that I missed in the card originally is the fact that when, let's say you have 5 cards underneath your Black Cauldron, when you want to play them, you can just play as many as you can cast.
Yeah. I also like the idea of, like, if you do boost your Peats and there's characters that went down there and they banished your Pete, now you can use some of the Hades that went down there, or any cards that can be used there. You talked about Blast from your past. I experimented with that card a long time ago before the rotation. I was running an Amber Amethyst with a bunch of Mims and Merlins because they all have the same name. What is the name that you're going to be choosing with Blast from your past in blue yellow? Maui? There's no Maui in blue yellow, no?
I was looking at it with Maui because Maui Shark, and there's like a new 4-cost Maui with Rush, and I was like, ooh, maybe I could do that. I mean, I kind of like, when I kept building the deck, I was like, yeah, maybe not, but Blast from the Past also caught my eye. I haven't seen anybody play it though, but it was something I was taking a little peek at, but probably too many uninks.
Infinity with Maui Hero to all. That sounds pretty spicy.
Yep, you can get Maui Shark and Maui Hero to all. Yeah. Or Tamatoa. You can go for Tamatoa route. In core constructed, it would probably be Hades or Stitch, right? I think that Hades are worth a lot. So like, let's say if I have 2 or 3 Hades, I would love to pick up the Hades. Stitch, just because the deck, a lot of the versions are running 2 different copies of Stitch, 7-cost Stitch, and the new 5-cost Snowboarder Stitch. So yeah, I would probably say Stitch or Hades.
Do you like that 5-cost Snowboarder Stitch? I'm not the biggest fan. I feel like it's too slow.
I'm not the biggest fan.
Yeah.
But if I was playing that 6-cost song, I have to probably play both.
You know what? I got cooked by the Lilo, the Rockstar Lilo with Doc. It was quite impressive. That every time Lilo quests, you can play a character that costs 2 or less from your discard. And yeah, Doc. So that was quite interesting.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Feels back in the equation, which is very cool. I mean, they did such a good job with this set to give a lot of the color combinations that were suffering a chance to come back.
Yeah.
Also, like on the topic of items, the Snowfork card's looking quite strong as well, which is this new uninkable 3-cost item. It gives everything, I think, +1 strength, and then in your turn you get a resist 1 on your cards as well. So that
in your opponent's turn. Yeah.
In your opponent's turn, yeah. So that's also looking like an interesting new item.
I played against someone playing Green Steel Green Fort on Fight Club, and yeah, I was like, oh man, this reminds me of Speci Boy.
Don't know what you mean.
What do you mean?
I actually haven't played the card, but yeah, are you talking about my Emerald Steel deck from Milwaukee?
Exactly. My opponent kept playing Fishing Rod and Dock, and I was like, please stop.
Like something I would do.
And it was really hard to cut. I mean, it was really hard to take out Dock when it has resist 1.
Yeah. I lost to
Resist
that
one
the
and-
other
and
day.
play- You lost to that?
Yeah, so I lost against Emerald Steel the other day, and the dude was playing the 5-cost Emerald Champion Goofy, and it's warded, and he needed 7-8 lore to finish the game. So he just let it sit there. He didn't exert it, and then he's on top deck mode. He got the fishing pole. And I'm like, how do I interact with this? I can't remove the item. I can't remove the body. And the next turn he quested and then bounced it back and then played it again. And I'm like, I'm cooked.
I have only one thing to say. It's not a fishing rod. It's an angle router, as our friends from the Rarehunter shop would call it. That's the German name. So I had to call it the angle router the whole time.
Angle router.
Yeah. It's a fun card though, so I don't think it's quite as good as it used to be, but I played it in Fabled format because you can bounce back dock, you gain lore, but it was particularly good with Prince Philip with Ward, because Ward was still quite untouchable at that point, right? So if you have like a Prince Philip and an angle router down, you've got like 6 lore reach, but it's a really fun card. I'm happy to see people giving it a try.
I mean, I
love
think
the
that
German names,
purple-green
bro.
strategy is really, really developing. Like the purple-green burn strategy is really developing. It's possible that they end up taking that angle, but I feel like it's in a much better spot just because I think Clarabelle is going to see a lot less play this set, just based off of initial. But who knows? Maybe Clarabelle is going to make a.
I think also Amethyst has a lot of those other kinds of cards where you don't need to go for the fishing pole. Like the fishing pole can be like for Emerald Steel, for example, you only really have Go-Go, whereas like in Amethyst Steel, you've got Honey Marin, White Rose, Gathering Knowledge. I'm not sure you necessarily would need that card in the mix as well, but yeah, I'm quite interested to see how the Amethyst Emerald decks do, because Dogs has been sort of the struggle matchup for that historically, and it seems like Dogs is on the rise. So I'm very curious to see how that deck ends up performing in this format.
Yeah, basically we just have to see a chain where Dogs ends up getting punished by the meta, and then it gives room for a different style of aggro deck that ends up dominating. So yeah, I mean, it all depends on what happens in the first tournament that leads people in a certain direction that allows players like us to potentially exploit that meta, right? And so everything is just a reaction to whatever everybody else does. Yeah.
Yeah. There's an upgrade to your Emerald Steel deck, by the way, Speci. I posted about this on my socials the other day. There's a new Weaselton that it's a 3/3 Weaselton. If it gets banished, it plays a 2 cost for free. And you can banish it during your turn, or if they banish it during your opponent's turn, you can now play a Go-Go for free. And if you have 2 floating inks, you can trigger the Go-Go ability. And they just damage themselves with 3, and you can gain 3.
And pretty much every player is like, you can't exert your ink before my turn anymore because of this interaction. And I'm like, no one's playing green steel in here at all. Like, if I'm playing against green steel, I'll stop.
Until you face Speci. I did tag Speci on that post as well, because there's an interaction before that is like that. I played a green yellow Mufasa against him. He banished my Mufasa, bro. And now he has damage. And Mufasa pulled Go-Go, and I had 2 extra ink to trigger Go-Go. And then after that, the following turn, I top decked the second Go-Go, and he was like, all right, man, GG, bye-bye.
It's like I don't think I've really played against him since on stream, because I just got absolutely cooked by the Go-Go top decks like 4 times at 5 games. And the thing was, when I challenged this Mufasa, I knew that a Go-Go would cook me, but I started to do it. So.
Yeah, it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's just luck, and it's all fun in games when you're running cards like that. I do like seeing more cards like that though, which like you can start to interact with stuff on your opponent's turn. I gotta say as well, the Underdog cards I was kind of skeptical on, but I really am quite enjoying that dynamic. I think that it's definitely something I would love to see pushed a little bit further potentially. Like I'd be really interested in seeing if you could have like a permanent Underdog type effect where it's always reduced when you go second, for example, maybe with like a slightly higher cost. But it's really, really a cool thing. I think like Angel's interesting. Even Christopher Robin, which is the Amethyst one, basically would give you, like as an aggro player, a 1/3 that quests for 2 when going first, which I think could be quite relevant for some Amethyst decks. So I'm really quite impressed by like how many things the set's got going for it. Also, locations I think are quite interesting. I haven't had much of a chance to look at the Winterspell card, but it certainly caught my eye in the reveal season. So I've got to say, I think it's the best set for DisneyLorcana in a very long time. I really am impressed by this one. So Yeah,
I'm
I
really
find
happy to see
myself cooking at like 4 a.m. in the morning. And I'm like, bro, I just worked for like 15 hours straight and I'm still awake at 4 cooking. And my wife is like, what are you doing? I'm cooking. Don't bother me. I'm just kidding. I don't talk to her like that.
Underdog is a sweet ability. Yeah, I do think that the Christopher Robin one is going to be in the end the one that ends up seeing the most amount of play. So I'm really excited to see what strategies we get out of it. Maybe, purple yellow aggro makes a comeback. I know the Asia region loves purple yellow.
Yeah. I have been testing a purple yellow hyper aggro with Miko. It's really nice because if you find the Lilo, you can exert Miko and then the following turn you have to discard a card from your hand if you end your turn with him exerted. So you can just discard the Lilo and I run cards like Show Me More because the whole deck is just one and 2 cost. And Miko has been really, really fast because it's a 1/1 evasive quest for 2 and it's 1 cost. And
Okay, it's a 1 cost quest for 2, and then you have to discard a card at the end of your turn.
if it's
Yeah, and it's
exerted,
uninkable.
only if it's exerted.
It's a good card though. Like in these hyper aggro shells, like one of the things that Amethyst lost is my trusty Maleficent 1 cost, right? So it had no characters which quest for 2 that cost 1 previously. There's a big reason that I went down the route of Amethyst Emerald when I was looking to build hyper aggro, because Emerald just has all the 1 cost questers, right? Like Pegasus, Fred, these kinds of things, Merfolk. And so, but now suddenly Amethyst, while it doesn't have like Maleficent back, which I don't even know that it would want now that Snake isn't in the format, but you've got Christopher Robin as a 1-drop that quest for 2 going second, and you've got Miko, which is a weird card, but if you're playing like Show Me More Chromacon, you can probably get away with it. So I think there's like a definite potential for like hyper aggro in some different colors alongside Amethyst with those cards.
Is it
right? It's uninkable.
No, uninkable.
It's uninkable.
Yeah.
I think it's
certainly
good,
very
though,
interesting.
in the right deck. Yeah.
Okay, and it's not a cost if you have 0 cards anyways. Nice.
No,
Or if you're
it will
playing-
banish itself if you don't discard.
Oh, if it will banish itself.
Yeah.
It's a cool card still.
Yeah,
1/1.
That's cool.
Yeah. And it's
Pocahontas
evasive.
caught my eye as well. It's a pretty cool card.
Oh, that card is
Yeah.
really good, man.
And of
especially
course,
with the
green
genie.
Mulan. Yeah, the genie. You know what? I did sealed against my girlfriend, and I actually managed to assemble the Pocahontas genie combo. So
Man.
that was good fun. I still nearly lost, but I held on just about.
You know what feels really bad when you have to Hades that genie?
Yeah.
And like I was like playing against Purple Steel that had like 2 Pocahontas and that genie, and they were just ramping it up slowly. So I was like, I'm gonna lose. They're at 0, but I'm gonna lose this game if I don't deal with this genie. And I just like hit it for 3, and I was like, oh my god! Like if one more turn, I know I was toast.
Does Pocahontas work with the Mulan, the 2-cost Mulan, or is Mulan like gaining lore based on its strength? So I think it might gain lore equal to its strength.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how the
So,
wording is.
Otherwise, that could be quite absurd.
The John
They probably did
Silver
that
with
on purpose.
location though, it works. Like the 3-cost John Silver that if you have locations, it gains lore. It can work in that deck as well because of the deck is usually taking an aggressive approach anyways, and the 1, 2, 3, and then drop a bunch of locations and gain like 3, 4, sometimes 5 lore with John Silver. If you quest with Pocahontas as well, it's a big burst of lore. You get like 10 in one turn.
And it's a 3/2, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
uninkable, but that is a good stat line for such a card. It's a really cool one.
It's so good.
Yeah. It's almost
good.
like always minimum questing for 2 as well, which is really, really nice. A 3/2, it almost is like a purple version of Bonsai that can possibly get more lore in general.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that it doesn't start at 0 lore, this card, but it does quest for 1 like on its own, right? So you would only need like a 1-drop and it's already like on massively on rate. So it's very, very strong. Of course, it can just quest for 1 sometimes, but it also counts your opponent's characters. So it's like worst case, realistically, you're playing like a 2-cost 3/2 uninkable that's questing for 2 and has with synergies the potential of being much, much higher. So there are also a lot of good 2-cost uninkables that quest heavily though, right? Like if you go Steel, you've got Nala and the new Lilo, for example. So there's definitely competition for places in that slot. And Calhoun.
Yeah, the new Lilo
There's
is
another
very
card in the
annoying
slot.
to deal with as well. I wanted to ask you guys, by the way, so we usually do top 3s and top 5s and that, but we're going to make it awkward and say top 2. What is the top 2 best cards in set 11 for you? And we can't repeat. We can't do repeats. So if someone says Willow, then no one can say it anymore to make it interesting for the audience.
I got two on my mind, which I don't know if anyone will pick. I'm just going to go right off the bat. Robin's Bow. I just feel like that card's got to be good.
What does that
grab
do
your
again?
bow. Grab your bow.
grab your bow,
Like
okay,
the Sing 5, banish 2 characters with 2 strength or less. And love it for the identity of Ruby in general. I love it in the sense of like you could reward like a Singer 5. Like I actually saw you were playing like is she called Shanty, like this 0/5 3-drop with Singer 5 that quests for 2.
Yeah.
That's cool. You've got Floodborn shift lines it could open. Of course, you already know that I'm cooking Robin Hood Sharpshooter. Like the card's literally called Grab Your Bow. It's like the devs are trying to tell me something. So that's probably my favorite of the set.
That's one card that you said. There's another card that top two.
You want me to go
top 2.
two?
Yeah, top 2.
Yeah.
I'll go Raging Storm for sort of similar reasons. I just love the identity of it. I just love giving Amber something very different where suddenly you've got like Amber Sapphire as a real option. Just gives like the game so much like extra things to think about and different strategies. I just don't think that card can ever be bad. I think it's always going to be quite good and can keep other things in check. I know a lot of people have been a little bit fed up of like these sorts of board states, certainly the more casual players where it's just super wide. And I think that Raging Storm is a really cool card for just like getting people excited to get back and try out Lorcana if they haven't played for a while as well.
For someone who made a lot of like aggro decks that joined the meta, those are 2 control cards that's coming from
I won't
you.
play them myself, I'll be honest. Maybe Grab Your Bow, I will, but I like the design of them a lot. And I think it's like this color identity thing. I was a bit critical of the previous format being very amethyst dominated, and I'm really happy to see sort of Ruby getting something, and also like, some of that Amber Sapphire, like getting really big support, which is really, really fun.
How about you, Zan? What are your top 2s?
I'll start off with Angel. I really like the Angel card, the steel one. A 3/3 for 4, inkable. You can discard a card every turn to deal 2 damage to a character or a location. I'm not, but it gets resist to when there's no cards in your hand. Yeah, I just think that's a really, really well designed card. I want to see more cards that are like, oh, you can discard a card to give a character challenger, or like just all sorts of those effects. I just think that introduces like a whole new angle to the game. Yeah, I honestly want to see this in every color combination. I think it'll make the game like more skill intensive and cool.
I really got that card wrong. When I saw it, I was doing a lot of reveals at once, but I was like, yeah, it could just be a bit better. But I've quickly realized that I was sorely mistaken. I think it's a really, really cool card as well. I like that one.
The fact that we don't have effects like that, it just allows you to like empty your hand in a really nice way that, you know, that interacts well with Goliath and Doc.
And uninkables as well, right? Being to having use for an uninkable that could be clunky.
Exactly. And I love that. Yeah, I'm just really impressed with that card design. I would definitely say that's S tier card design. In terms of, you know, I was really skeptical on cards with like, you know, Cheshire Cat boost cards, and I really think that they balanced Pete well. Like I don't think it's a broken card, but it's exactly the card that blue steel and yellow blue needed in order to come out of their shell without rewarding Blurple enough. They also were smart enough to give it the ally.
Yeah, that's cool as well, thematically as well.
It's just really, really smart. Really, really smart. All around, like, I'm going to say those 2 cards.
Yeah. Mine is, I don't want to pick the ones that are like super famous at the moment. This is more of like my personal favorite because I think that it's opening up some new possibilities. The first one might be a little boring for some of the viewers. It's Zootopia or Zootropolis, the 1-cost Amber card with 5 willpower quests for 1. It's just the best like 1-cost location when it comes to that strategy, and it takes them 10 million years to take out. Like following that up with Calhoun, anything that exerts to attack it, Calhoun feeds on it, and the location survives. My second card that I like, the 3-cost Angela from Steel. It's the 2/3 body quest for 1, 3-cost inkable. When I first saw this card, I read it wrong because it's a gargoyle. So I assumed the second ability is Stone by Day, but the first ability is something that I really like because I'm a big fan of the crab. And this ability gives your chosen character +2 challenger. So it's like Yelana and all these other cards, but it also gives them +2 resist until the start of your next turn. So you can take out anything, and most likely after you take that out, they're not going to take out the character that you exerted with, because it usually still has high willpower and +2 resist until the start of your next turn. But the second ability is also really interesting for me, because she's the only gargoyle at the moment that doesn't have Stone by Day. It actually erases the effect of Stone by Day with other gargoyles. So your other gargoyles, if you have 3 cards, they will now ready. As long as this card is on the board. It's a static effect.
Yeah. I think it's a super cool card. Nathan, one of my friends, is super, super high on this card. Initially, I told him I wasn't that high on it just because, like, it's a cool effect, but I don't see a home for it. But I recently played against a Gargoyle Purple Steel deck, and I felt like it fit in that deck really well because they have that 5/4 a gargoyle for 5 uninkable, but when it comes into play, if there's 2 gargoyles in your bin, then you gain 2 lore. So it's like basically giving the deck an access to another Cobra.
Yeah.
So I really like that. And then you can obviously play the 2/4 gargoyle for 2 that when it ETBs, you can draw and discard a card. And so all of a sudden you're seeing like a purple steel gargoyle identity. And then obviously you could play Goliath and Demona in the deck as well, which I do think that they fit fairly well in the deck. Yeah, I think that in that style of strategy, she fits super well. Otherwise, I don't think that I would like play her just like as is. It would need to be like a really, really specific deck. So I think it fits really well in that specific deck. But when I first heard about the card, I was like really low on it because I felt like it had no shell. But once I saw the shell in action, even though I kicked its butt, I was like, oh, if someone actually sat down and built this deck correctly, it would be more scary.
At the moment, I
Request for
like
one,
it as
right?
1 of or 2 ofs in my deck. It's just nice having like kind of like a crab effect, like extra reach to take out whatever you want to take out, and then the card survives afterwards.
Does
What do
it
you
quest
say?
for 1?
It quests for 1.
It quests for 1. That's the
think so.
downside.
Yeah, that's my. If it quests for 2, I would be pretty damn interested, I have to say. That's always usually my deal breaker. I like to quest quickly, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the other thing was give it 1 more power. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Let's make it a 3/3. Give gargoyles a little bit more. I mean,
Yeah.
it wouldn't have like broke the game.
Yeah, that's very true, because like gargoyles anyways in general are big bodies in the game at the moment. And there's also the 5-cost gargoyle that I like as well in steel, the 4/6 bodyguard Broadway, and it can quest for 2. But yeah, I haven't like even tried a full gargoyle deck. I just actually like the effect of the card. That's why I chose it. Yeah, so now DLC Melbourne and some of these events are coming up. Now I understand that it's hard to predict which one is going to win, especially these. It's a new meta. But if you have a prediction and you can choose one deck that you can root for, what do you think will win this meta?
What am I rooting for and what I think will win are 2 very different questions. What I'm rooting for is Sapphire Amber all the way. Do I think it's going to go the whole way? Probably not. I'll have to think about that a bit longer. But I would love to see one of these like new sort of strategies pop off. But I think dogs would just be my go-to. I think this new Mulan seems really good. I'm not even sure if dogs are playing it, but that card certainly caught my eye. So yeah, I'll go for dogs. They've just got that bit of extra explosiveness.
Yeah, I mean, I would say I would lean towards dogs as well, but I'm gonna say if dogs is above 15%, I think it will win the tournament. But I think that if it's below 15%, I don't think it's going to win the tournament. I think it will be the most played deck that wins the tournament, which I probably would think is either Purple Steel or Blurple. So I'm just gonna say Blurple's gonna win by brute force.
I think that a new version of Purple Steel is coming out. I think it's gonna go back to the version of before rotation and going fast again.
Oh, maybe I have to play it again then.
Yeah.
I haven't played Purple Steel since rotation.
Because you can now like play the deck with a top end as Angel in the deck, turning all your cards into fire the cannons once per turn, and just basically just vomit your hand on the board and quest for 2 with all these new cards.
Yep.
Is there anything else you guys want to talk about before we end the podcast?
I mean, we've got Gent coming up as well, right? So that's going to be 4,000 players. That's an exciting one, isn't it? So
That's true.
I'm going to be commentating that event, and I'm really looking forward to it. I've definitely got a bit of an itch to compete, I must admit. But yeah, Gent's going to be a real special event. I'm really curious to see sort of what the venue looks like for that sort of thing. It is a bit of a different DLC because it's a 3-day event, which we did actually have a 3-day event in season 1 in Europe as well, which was Bochum. But I believe that was more due to like the size of the venue. I think it was still a 2,000 player event. So this is the biggest DLC in history, I do believe. So that's really exciting. And I also like that it's like quite near the start of the format because, yeah, lots of cooking. And also there was no DLC in Europe last season. So people have been really itching over here to go and compete. And I know a lot of people that have, like, shout out to the Nordic community over in Sweden in particular. Like, I know there's a bunch of guys from Sweden and Denmark that haven't been able to go to DLCs before, but are now going as a big group because it's got that bigger capacity. So it's going to be a really exciting event that I'm extremely excited for.
Yeah.
How does commentary work for that in terms of like, you know, that I'm going to be playing the Friday. I'm going to be playing Friday. So there's a Friday, Saturday, basically both of those are day ones.
It's not confirmed, but my understanding would be that you basically have Friday is a day 1, Saturday is a day 1, and then a Sunday will be everyone's day 2. What exactly happens on Sunday, I'm not sure, but I also believe there's only one Worlds invitation for the tournament.
Oh, yeah,
despite
yeah.
it being 4,000 players, which is a shame, I think. But I suppose also if you're giving this event 2 Worlds invitations, suddenly America's one short of Europe and that sort of thing as well, right? But that's going to feel quite bad, isn't it, if you lose in the final of a 4,000 player DLC? Because it's kind of like you've won a DLC in most other senses. But yeah.
I mean, I think if you made it to that point, you should be happy kind of no matter what, unless you mess up. I think that the thing that you can control a lot of the times in these DLCs is like how many times you make top cut. But once you make top cut, how far you're going to go, that's all just gravy. You know what I mean? I would rather all the DLCs be like this. I would love for them to add a day to all the events, make them 4,000 people, as many people as we can possibly have. I just think that that initial moment when you go to one of these tournaments, like it's so transformative that like just having like a kid version of me go to one of these tournaments and like have that experience. I mean, I didn't really play card games as a kid. I didn't get into competitive card games until after like during college essentially. So I'm like, okay, if we can open this thing up, like that means families can come. If families can come, I think that like it just opens up so much more possibility, and people can choose to take off Friday if they really want to go. And we're like really meeting the supply and demand situation. So I really want Ghent to go well from a logistical standpoint, so that this can be the blueprint for doing this type of tournament more often.
Yeah,
definitely.
And add a karaoke machine somewhere in the venue for the casuals and just people who love Disney music.
Yeah, I'll watch them. I won't participate.
Did Richmond have side events on the Friday? Because the American DLC I went to in season 1, Seattle did, and I loved it. But then Milwaukee, I was a bit disappointed that they weren't there. So I don't believe there were side events in Bologna on the Friday either. So do we
Richmond
know like
did.
Yeah.
Richmond did? That's great.
It was awesome. We played in a, what do you call it, team trios, and I played in 2 different team trios with my friends. I did me, Brian, and Nathan for the first one, and then me, Jeremy, and Ryan for the second one. And we played against Kiyoshi's squad. And
Who was on the team? Who was on the team? Was it like Will? Maybe.
And Alphos?
Was Alphos on the team? Can't remember.
So there's Will,
No.
there's Quincy, there's
Oh, it was Justice. It was Justice.
Oh, okay.
It was Justice, Kiyoshi, and who's my Asian friend? He played Yellow Purple at the last in where is it called? In Hong Kong. He was playing Yellow Purple in Hong Kong.
I think it would be Will. That would be my guess. Yeah.
Yeah, he's the only Asian in the group.
Is he the captain? Okay, it's Will.
Yeah, there's only one Asian person in the group. So.
And so Will actually sat across from me, and I was like, Kiyoshi, are you like scared of me? And then he was like, no, like I'm up for the challenge. Because I was like thinking, okay, I'm playing dogs, and I'm like, okay, every person's playing the same color combination, red, red purple, blue steel, and yellow green. That's every team was playing the exact same color combination because it was the best color combination. So Will sat across from me, and I was like, I don't want to play it. We could be playing the mirror, or I could be playing against blue steel. I'd rather lock in playing against the amethyst person. So I baited Kiyoshi to come play against me. And then you would think that red, purple, and dogs is favored for red, purple, but no, it's definitely favored for dogs. All you need is a chromacon, and you're just rolling. It's no purple steel. It is definitely super. So I baited him into that one because I wanted to even the score. 1-1. So yeah, we ended up beating them in the finals of that team trios, which was sick.
Nice.
Yeah,
the
my
Asian
guys
DLCs
from,
as well have a side events, by the way, the day before.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's also a one-day event, right? So
Yeah, true.
Well,
actually,
not
Taipei
anymore.
It's going to be best of three.
okay, awesome. I would love to ask your guys' opinions actually on the Hong Kong tournament because there was quite some controversy on the final with some judge calls. I've actually spoken with the player that lost the final. Haven't released the video yet. It's being worked on, but I can confirm from them they got 3 warnings in the final. One was for readying their Demona, like at the start of their turn when they weren't supposed to. The second was trying to challenge a Iago when they shouldn't have been able to. And the third was for putting the boost card under the Elsa instead of the Cheshire Cat. 3 warnings, game loss. Shortly thereafter, they lost game 3 to time. It was a 1-hour timed final for the World's Invitation. So a bit of a weird one. I was watching it live and the Twitch chat was quite on fire with disappointment about how that tournament ended.
Okay, in my experience, judges have not been handing out any game losses for any type of warnings and all that stuff. So it's unfortunate that that player had to experience it in the finals. Overall, I think that we should have more game losses based off of warnings. Like our warning system is all messed up. It's like super unfortunate it happened in the finals because I'm like, if you've been maintaining like all the different DLCs I've attended, I've like caught people cheating against me, and you're trying to give them warnings, and all of a sudden we're in the finals of this tournament, and you've escalated everything to this level where this person got a game loss and then lost on time. I just think that's crazy, a huge jump for the finals. I also think that in a Hong Kong finals in like a best of 1 format, you're more likely to get unexperienced players making it all the way through, and that
We've been playing
was,
2 weeks. We've been
exactly
playing for 2 weeks.
Exactly. So that's the whole situation. It's like we're just gambling to get to the end of the tournament. So I don't even think that they should make it that there be a time limit in the finals, because these people are playing for a lot and they're not exactly like experienced players, because this tournament is not designed to get the best performing player. It's the best performing lucky player in the sense. You get what I'm saying? So in this situation, I think that it should be catered to the casual player. And so I don't think that there should have been a game loss. The judges should just keep track of it, and the players should keep track of it. Number 2 is I don't think that it should have ended on time, because I think that the finals deserves to have unlimited time.
Yeah.
Because they're fatigued, and it's likely to be a person who hasn't played very many tournaments.
Yeah. I think the finals should be on time too. And you can always have a judge there too, that when it's obvious that there is a slow play happening, like for example, someone is taking 10-15 minutes to finish their turn, then the judge can always just call that out. But for me, the finals should be filled with action and like best plays possible. And if you were timing that, and like what you said, they're fatigued, they're tired, you're not gonna get the juiciest finals, and it's just gonna. It's like what you said, like some of these players, a casual player can make it to the finals because of how the format works. It's best of 1. And now you're up there. The casual player is even more prone to mistakes when the time is ticking.
And it sort of contradicts like the Takeback rule, right? Which I don't believe was implemented for this tournament. So I know it was implemented for Richmond, and I know it's being added ahead of Ghent, but I'm not sure it was actually part of this tournament. And exactly, like I think Ravensburg have been quite clear. They want people to, like casual players, the direction it is that these kinds of things, we're encouraging new players in. But yeah, the guy that lost just said to me, like, he just felt like he was under so much pressure, right? You're in a stream table where there's thousands of people watching you potentially, and every single little thing that you might do wrong might quickly result in you losing the whole match. I think it's a really unfortunate situation. Really, really unfortunate, to be honest. It makes me quite sad seeing something like this. I think it also takes something away from the winner, right? Like the winner, okay, they got their Worlds invite and all this sort of stuff, but rather than people talking about the winner, everyone's talking about, how they won in maybe some controversial circumstances.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a shame overall.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think it's going to just get brushed under. To be honest, like the way that the US and EU players have been interpreting the best of one tournaments is that they're luck based, right? So in terms of celebrating the winners, they're not getting as much hype as, like, for example, Fungus winning Richmond, right? Yeah, I just think that it's going to be an uphill battle for majority of players from the best of one circuit. But I do think that if I am able to get back to Worlds, I'm like, okay, I feel like I have a major advantage because these players are now not incentivized to come to the US or to come to EU, spend a whole bunch of money to not have the same prizes. Like they don't need any of the Continentals invites because they're already qualified for Worlds. So I just think that their testing grounds is now super limited, and they're kind of like boxed in a corner and put into a really bad situation for Worlds. I kind of want Worlds to make more sense in the sense that people always have incentive to continue playing and going to other tournaments. And I just feel like, there's a lot of times there's like a lot of lost like nutrients in the whole situation. Like in the sense that, like, for example, in season 1, I qualified for Worlds twice, right? Qualifying for Worlds once is already hard, but qualifying for Worlds twice, that's like an anomaly, right? And so Ed and I both experienced that, but we don't get anything for that. And so now fast forward to this situation, I'm like, okay, I qualified for NA Continentals from winning the CCQ, but then I made top cut of Richmond. That's double qualification for NA Continentals. I care about the foundation, and I'm like, investing in a bunch of other aspects, right? Like in terms of like doing content and stuff like that. But I just want all players to feel like we need to go to the next tournament, perform well, because it's like a building block for something more. So yeah, I just think that a person who's qualified for Worlds right now should still be incentivizing for them to go because they're working towards something for next season or something. I just feel like they've lost all motivation to go to any more tournaments unless they're doing the content grind or something else,
So it's like you basically want to see a system which rewards not just like one very, very high finish, but like a very consistent finish, right? Like, for example, let's say you at the moment play in 8 DLCs and you get to 8 finals and you lose all 8 finals, you wouldn't get any sort of reward for that. I know that's obviously extremely hyperbolic, but that sort of like consistency should maybe be something that could be rewarded as well.
Yeah, 100%. I think so too. Yeah.
And in the past in Magic, I actually set like the record for the most win and loss to top 8 of a DLC. Essentially, it was called a Grand Prix, and that experience was so brutal, but it like put me in the category as like an unknown player who was like putting themselves in that position. But right now, what we validate is one person going to 10 DLCs, going 0-3 in all of them, and then they just win one tournament. And I just think that person should get their flowers, but also the person who lost in 8 finals in a row should also get their flowers or be working towards like at least a half an invite or something,
Doesn't Pokemon does that? They have a point system for something like that. I don't know if it's only till their, what do you call this, the regional or the continental finals, but maybe it's also for Worlds. But I do really like the idea of rewarding consistency in general.
I have one question I'm burning to ask you guys on this topic because it's something I'm really interested in. I think it links to this like final in Hong Kong. What do you guys think about the Takeback rule as it's currently being implemented? And yeah, I'm very curious because I think, like, for me, to share my opinion, I think the idea behind the Takeback rule is really nice, where you can sort of maybe avoid situations that happen like in this final in Hong Kong long term, right? Like a simple mistake can just be adjusted without sort of any big deal. My concern might be in a DLC setting. I mean, I was watching the broadcast of Richmond quite closely, and there was a game on day 1 where someone had passed their turn. It was against Zach Bivens, and then they managed to call the judge, get a call back to sort of take back to sort of change their play slightly. I personally feel like a huge part of the skill ceiling of a card game is just that sort of like hesitation to not make a decision. And then we've all been there, haven't we, where you play a card on the table and you're like, oh, what have I done? Personally, I feel like that's part of the game. And I think that the take back rule, while I understand the intent behind it, I actually worry if maybe it doesn't have a place necessarily at like a DLC. I could see it like being at set champs, but I personally am not the biggest fan of DLCs, but I'm kind of curious to your guys' opinion on it.
I'm not the biggest fan of it either. I think that if you are in a DLC, you should be held to a higher standard when it comes to this. Like, for example, the Angela card that I was talking about, right? The resist stays until my next turn. But now no one can make that mistake. It's like, oh, I forgot that that has a resist and I didn't intend to attack that. Now they can take that back. And that kind of sucks for that card. Because
it lowers the skill ceiling of the game, right?
Yes, it does. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, I just think that takebacks are overall bad for the game. But I think the more important thing is we need consistency across the board. We can't have a tournament, the same tournament in two different regions doing two different opposite things. That's like the number one thing is we just need consistency. Plus the rule is not being applied because no one understands the rule well, right? So the judges are applying this rule differently in different situations where like people are able to like rewind a whole turn, like the example that you're talking about, whereas the rule is not supposed to do that. Right? It's supposed to, like, if there is like two actions that happened and you're trying to rewind the two actions prior, it should not, you should not be able to go back that far. But the rule is being applied differently by different judges because they're like, oh, take back rule, that means they can take back any, like, their entire turn.
In the rule, it says specifically you can take back multiple actions if they were performed at the same time. So like if you like quest your whole board at the same time, that's counting as a... I just personally, I just think it, for me, the idea behind the rule, right, is to protect newer players. My concern would be that it actually rewards people looking to gain like a bit of an advantage. Moreover, like people that are looking to be a bit sneaky, a bit of an edge. And to be honest, the big thing for me is if someone challenges my card with resist, right, and I put the damage counter on the card and they think my card's going to be banished, that's the game. That's part of the skill. I don't think you should be able to take something like that back, personally.
Well, there's a huge philosophy that people believe that the game, like, they kind of want to take that part out of the game. I think that there's a certain school of player that believes that the game should automatically be played perfectly for them, and they want that result.
Yeah,
that's how it should have been played. That's the way it should have happened. And that mentality is, I just think, bad for any competitive circuit. I think that there are more and more rules we can continue to add in order to get to the like the worst version of that, or like the best version of that. And yeah, I think that this finals is a great case study to really look at the rules and change them and make them uniform across the board. I honestly don't think that there should be a best of 1 DLC and a best of 3 DLC. I think that they all have to be
the
either
same
best of 1 or best of 3.
Yeah.
Because the person who's getting to Worlds is not getting there on the same merit.
Yeah.
That's just the reality.
I'm also like thinking about like once you turn a game into a big tournament like this and there's a lot on the line for people and they have to spend a lot of money to get involved in general, then the stakes are super, super high. It should be treated like an actual competition, like a sport, right? So in basketball, if I pass the ball to Zan and then I realize, oh, he's actually not free, there's two guys that it's about to come for him and double team him, I can't say that, oh wait, ref, I take that back. Let me get the ball back. Let's do it again. I'm actually gonna pass it to Speci because I didn't realize that Speci was free. This is the way like I look at card games in general, and I know that is real time and this is not real time, but it's same but not same but still same for me.
Yeah, but in basketball you could just flop over and then be like, ref, this player that was guarding me just tripped me, so it's our ball.
I got nothing to offer to the basketball chat, unfortunately.
Yeah.
That's out
Just
out
be
of my
LeBron
realm.
and do that. I feel like that's kind of like what What did
There's
this thing is,
flopping. There's flopping in football.
Yeah, there is. And you've got the football not soft. I respect it.
I think
on the take back rule as well, right? Like, let's say I'm playing against Zan and we're practicing for a tournament or something the day before. If I make a mistake in my gameplay, right, and we're testing, maybe we take it back. So, okay, I realize I messed up. Fine. But like, if we're like playing in a semi-serious way, before this take back rule was implemented, I would actually find it disrespectful to ask my opponent to take my play back. I personally would view it as I messed up. That's the game. I have to learn my lesson from that and make sure I do better next time, right? I think a take back where you like make a simple mistake where you like put the boost under the wrong card or something like this and just easily fix it, no problem. Or something like that. Maybe even a quest. Oh, I want to take back my quest. Okay, or I want to take back the card I played, maybe. But as soon as you're like doing like a challenge or I don't know, it just feels wrong to me. Like, I think that resist example is the best thing. We've all been there where you challenge something, you expect their card to be banished and you realize it's not. I don't think you should be able to take something like that back. I think you just got to learn from that, and that's part of the skill ceiling of the game. Is
DKP fired a cannon right now in the finals of Worlds and realized I can't fire the cannons this Rhino. It has 2 assists.
Yeah, but there was a take back rule, so you can't.
Which is correct. You should not be able to take that back.
In testing, it's a bit different. In testing, it depends. Like, let's say you're playing against a player and you play 10 times, right? And they keep making that mistake, then the take back is actually bad for them. So you have to just be like, hey, I'm not gonna let you take this back, because you need them to learn that lesson. Yeah. But now, like, for example, remember when we were playing in the LCC, right? All 3 of us have played in that. In that specific tournament, when I was like in top 4 or in the finals, I was like, okay, let me try to just win this tournament. I'm gonna prep to against my competition, right? So when we're testing there, what I'm trying to do is trying to find a specific line, to replicate that in the next tournament. So for example, if we made top cut in season 1, we knew exactly who the person that we're playing against and what their exact deck list is before we come for day 2, right? In top 64. So we could just map out all of the specific scenarios and what we're trying to walk them into. So that's a different type of testing. And in that testing, it's all about taking back and trying different iterations. So it totally depends on which type of testing you're doing. But I think that for the most part, giving takebacks and majority of players are not testing that specific way. You have to limit the takebacks, because even though it seems like that they may know from those instances, you'll realize that over the course of 10 times, they keep making that same mistake and they're not learning the lesson. You have to punish it.
Yeah. It would also suck, like, watching Worlds for this season and there's takebacks happening and it's the highest level of competition. And if that happens, I don't find that interesting at all. And I get it. Like, I'm all about like all the lovey-dovey stuff with Lorcana in general. I'm very, very like engaging and nice to the community and all this. But when it comes to competition, I'm also not mean, but I like following a better set of rules in general, and takebacks is not one of them. And that's basically how I feel about takebacks.
Cool. Yeah, I think it has a really good place in the game. I think it's like a well-intentioned thing. I just don't think it should be part of DLCs. I think draw the line at set champs. Yeah,
I'm totally fine with that. I let them already take back stuff anyways when it's like local tournaments like that or like League 9. Like,
yeah, because okay also like Zan was talking about like testing takebacks. I gotta say, I'm the king of takebacks in testing. My girlfriend was losing her mind when I was prepping for Milwaukee because I would want to take back a play I made 3 turns ago because I want to see how the game plays out, and I can see, okay, if I do this little thing differently, how does it play out? And it helps me learn and understand the correct lines to take. But yeah, again, we've all been there. We've all played a card on the table and realized we've made a serious mistake. And for me, that's part of the game. Imagine in chess, you just, oh no, I'm going to take it back. It's like, no, I just don't think that really is the spirit of the game.
But they're even more strict.
I understand that, like, the reasoning behind it and what they're trying to do in creating this like environment is great, but I actually worry it might have the opposite effect. It kind of creates like an environment where lots of people are calling the judge quite frequently. I was watching Richmond when this take back happened on stream, and it was like 5 minutes of watching a judge sort of talk through it and work out. And I don't know, it
Yeah.
doesn't quite sit right with me.
And
personally.
chess, if you touch a piece, like you have to move that. Like, I'm not saying that we should be like, if you touch that card, you should like play it. But yeah, this podcast has been a long one for the first episode. And I just wanted to say that I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please help us make this podcast better as well, because this podcast, it's not for us. It's for you, the community, and the people that's been supporting the Rarehunters as well in general. We highly appreciate you. Now let's do some plugins really quick. And let's start with Speci. Where can we find you, Spec?
You can find me on YouTube. I'm doing, it's now Curly Cards. I'm doing the world's worst rebrand because nobody calls me Curly Cards, but that's where I'm at. And a big shout out to Rarehunters. If you guys are in Austria as well, near Vienna, there's a shop, and it's a lovely shop. Definitely recommend checking it out. So big ups to everyone there and everyone on the team.
Yeah. Zan, where can we find you?
You can find me at Zan_Syed YouTube channel. Come check it out. We do a podcast there as well. And then, thank you to Rarehunters. None of this would be possible without them. Alex, our great leader, definitely takes the team in the right direction. And I can't wait to go crush Gent.
Yep.
With the boys.
Gent, then Taiwan. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yep.
You can find me on my socials. I'm Earlmeister everywhere. And all the links that we just talked about are going to be right down below. And again, big thanks to the Rarehunters for, like what Zan said, for making all of this happen. And we're gonna have some more episodes. Again, let us know what you think, and let us know what you want to see in this podcast, because this podcast
And subscribe.
is for you. And subscribe. Smash that subscribe button. See you guys later. Bye bye.